Alright, so 2 years ago, I made a video about talking about the Eternal Champions making a comeback. But what if I told you that those rumors could be true? Well, now that Sega is announcing multiple classics being remastered. Some 2D, some are 3D, but at some point, I think Eternal Champions should go 2D. Maybe have this little comic anime style of a fighting game. I think chances are this franchise is going to end up making a comeback. If the combos and the hit detections are done right, I think Eternal Champions is going to end up making a comeback. That's for sure. As y'all know, Eternal Champions was released in 1993 as an original fighting game created by Sega themselves. Now, as you all know, the fighting game has a terrible reputation of being the absolute worst in terms of controls and having iconic looking characters, yes, but it's the fact that the game itself wasn't really that great from the begin with. It is iconic piece. From the standpoint, if you manage to play the game well, I think chances are it's going to be one of the most iconic remasters now that Sega has announced they're going to be remastering all of the classic titles from Streets of Rage, Shinobi, Golden Axe, among others. So personally, I think Eternal Champions is going to end up being remastered as well, because even though these are just rumors still, and I'm going to show you why we go to this article, why I believe it needs to be remastered, because I feel like it hasn't been touched in 30 years since it came out. But at some point, if they are going to remaster all of the titles, I think they should include Eternal Champions, but add some elements like how NetherRealm Studios are doing with Mortal Kombat, Capcom with Street Fighter. Honestly, I think it's for the best. So let's jump into this article, because I think there's going to be some interesting points of what I think needs to happen. During the Game Awards last week, Sega had a pretty impressive line of announcements, as they confirmed that no less than 5 frequently requested classics was going to get new installations at some point in the future. Just one day later, they also revealed that this is only the beginning, and that the intention is to bring even more classics back. Fast forward until today, and Jimasu has now noticed that Sega has trademarked more older games, including Ultra Beast, Eternal Champions, and Kid Chameleon. All of these 3 are Sega classics from before. And while it's definitely not a confirmation of any kind, it could give us an indication of other virtual titles from the vast Sega library that will be brought back to life. Another thing pointing in that direction is the fact that there was a rumor during the rounds earlier last summer claiming that Sega was working on a new Ultra Beast. Ultra Beast was bundled with Mega Drive for years. So many gamers have a lot of memories from it, and it would make sense to bring it back, despite the fact that it wasn't particularly good. Eternal Champions was a decent fighting game with really cool characters, and created as a Sega alternative to Street Fighter 2, which initially was only available for Super Nintendo. Finally, we have somewhat more obscure Kid Chameleon, a platform title with a theme that really feels early 90s, and that we imagine would make a great modern 2.5D adventure today. Now, honestly, I want to focus more on Eternal Champions. Now, I had some memories of this game when I told you the story when I was in South Carolina in the mid-90s, when I was playing this game for the first time ever. I wanted to know what the game is going to end up looking like, because it got me curious. And so now that I realize that the game is not that great, I still appreciate Sega for going original and trying something new with their console. The fact that Eternal Champions was their original title created from Sega. Now, if they are going to bring it back, I would want them to do what Street Fighter does. Combos, storytelling, and the voice acting has to be up to par. One thing is for sure about Eternal Champions is that it has very unique gameplay value. But another interesting part about Eternal Champions is that even though each character has a different type of ending, but all of them die. Once they win the tournament, they get their lives returned. And I think if Sega were to bring back Eternal Champions, I would have loved for them to actually create new type of endings for these iconic characters. But you know what? If they are going to bring it back, I can't wait to play it. I can't wait to see what these characters look like in modern times. PS4, Nintendo Switch, even the Xbox Series S. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it, what it looks like. Because Eternal Champions definitely has my focus on this title, as you see in the thumbnail I created last night. So, link to the article. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think they should bring back Eternal Champions? Let me know in the comments.